Hey there, and welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, where we talk all about strategies to grow your business, your life, and of course, your bank account. Now, we thought that COVID sped up the rise of digital. Everybody worked so hard, so quickly to put out as much as they possibly could online. But the developments that we saw from COVID, I don't think they've even held a candle to what AI has done in our lives and our businesses in less than the last 12 months. And I know that AI has been around for a lot longer than that, but how we have so quickly adopted it to include it in not only our businesses, but our everyday lives, that has definitely changed in a short period of time. So I'm curious. I love looking at society and psychology and wondering what's going to happen next. In retail as consumers, are we going to embrace the bots? Already we can see a huge change in the fact that people are kind of shirking away from spending time with other people. And so in that case, I wonder, is that where AI is going to help? But then there's also the complete opposite of the spectrum, which is the rise of AI in things like copywriting and ads and social media posts. Is that going to mean the opposite happens? Does that mean we are going to crave more humanness? It's a really interesting conversation. I don't have the answers, but I can't wait to dive in with Anita Nielsen. She's a seasoned sales performance leader and author of a book called Beat the Bots. And her focus is all around human-centered sales in what is very fastly becoming an even more automated world. Anita, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I thought it was quite interesting that we kind of riffed off before we even started. We were already jumping into having the conversation, and I was like, snip that and use it as the intro, because we got so involved in how the world is changing. I would love to know, how did you end up writing a book about AI when the reality is most of us have only been using it for, maybe the last 12 months?
Yeah, for sure. So my book came out in 2019. And at that point, so it's been out there for a while. And so I tell you that because I wasn't by any means an expert at AI when I wrote it. I was just kind of looking forward from a sales standpoint. There was an article at that point that was published that said all sales jobs are going to get obliterated. Something really rude like that, right? And so I said, this is not okay. But then I would have sellers that I work with say, do you really think that's going to happen? And they were actually worried about it. And so what I would do is I try to allay their fear. But then it just became a lot of people were worried about this. And I said, oh man, I'm just going to write a book. That way I can try to make everyone feel better. And I don't know where that came from, but that's what I wrote it about. It wasn't so much about AI necessarily. It was any kind of automation, anything like robots, chatbots, anything that is automating part of the buying or selling process. What's that impact on that sales professional and their livelihood, really? And there isn't, because what the salespeople can do, the machines cannot, at least not yet. That was a big thing I said in my book, at least not yet. And I can firmly say that is still the case. And I test AI. I make AI annoyed every single day. But that's where the book came from.
That was just me.
It was. No, I don't know. I'm surprised it doesn't just hang up on me, but it's one of those things where it didn't come from a place of technology. I'm not a technologist, but it came from a big place of my heart and worrying about these salespeople and how, no, it's not fair. They work their behinds off. They're always working and they genuinely care about their customers. Machine can't do that. And so that's where it was born in 2019.
Can we even remember 2019? I feel like
Nope.
That feels like centuries ago. And it's interesting.
Unless
I always have this joke. My daughter was born in 2008, and I have to always add on to the end, remembering in 2008, we didn't have data on our phones.
Yes.
I remember having to buy a dongle for my computer to send photos of my newborn baby to my in-laws in England. And that's what we did. We had a dongle. And so, fast forward, 17, 18, the world is so different. And you and I both know AI is here to stay, whether we love it, whether we loathe it. It's just going to become better. It is going to become cheaper. It's going to be faster.
Yeah.
And it's going to ruin the world a little bit more, because I think what we forget, I am very passionate about the environment. And as much as I do use AI, I think we forget that the amount of energy it takes to run AI has a literal impact on the world. taking that, just taking that out of the equation, I think it needs to be part of the conversation, but taking it away and just putting the emphasis on what AI can do for us. Let me ask you this right now. Do you love it? Do you loathe it?
Man, it's love-hate. Like it depends on the thing, right? It goes back to what is it I'm trying to do? And if it's something that it is going to understand, I'm good with it. If not, then I'm just like, I just spend an hour banging my head against a wall trying to get you to do something that you are just not going to do. And so it depends. But I really love it when it works the way that I want it to. I cannot live without it for some of those things. But the other things, it's like, how did you, I just told you not to do that. You just did it again. And so some of those things are a little bit challenging. And yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the whole concept of your chat GPTs is that it's built to be a people pleaser. And so I'm with you. Like the other day I asked it to build out an itinerary and it just kept forgetting. And I'm like, but you forgot morning tea. And it was like, oh, sorry about that. I'll fix it. And it still didn't include morning tea. And I'm like, how else can I ask you this?
Yes. I'm working with a senior sales leader right now, and he's looking for a job. And so I asked my agent, ChatGPT, to go out and search for jobs for that role. And it brought one out that I've been seeing it's been on there for weeks, and I know about this, but the job cannot be live still. So it pops it up, and I said, you need to double check and make sure that that's live on the website because I don't want it if it's not. I'll be darned. 5 times it went back and forth. And each time it said it was going to correct it and it was going to do a real-time search and confirm. Could not. Finally, I said, okay, you clearly cannot do what I need you to do. So peace out, basically, is what I had to say to it at that point. So I hate it because of that, because now I've wasted my time that I could have probably done a really good search and gone through many things in the amount of time that I spent trying to get this thing to figure out what I was trying to do.
That's a really interesting place to move the conversation to, which is, why do we do that? Why are we okay? Because I'm putting my hand up with you. I do the same thing. And I'm like, I could have written this thing. I could have written the itinerary for my event 5 times over. And so why as humans do we insist on putting, is it sunk costs? It's like, I've already invested this much time. I'm going to make it work. Like, you understand psychology so much better than I do. So why are we attracted to the idea of what AI can do for us if it's not actually delivering?
Such a good question. I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's like the gambler's fallacy or intermittent reinforcement. And so like when you go to a slot machine and you put money in, you don't know when it's going to give you something, right? But you keep on putting it in there because you think, okay, well, it didn't give it to me this time. It's going to get it this time. And you just keep on trying to get your money back. But it's gone and you have no way of knowing. So it's like, it's that intermittent schedule of reinforcement that really messes with the human brain, I think. That's one part of it. And then the other part is I think there's a lot of curiosity about these tools. And so for me, and I fully admit this, I'm almost like really pushing on it to see how far I can take it. And so I keep pounding on it, right? Even though I probably could have stopped after 2 tries, but I didn't. And we're finding now, trying to think where the study was, but I just heard of a study that people are getting less smart. I don't even know how they calibrated that, but the neural pathways are changing because of AI. And so this is where I get very nervous because the last thing we need is people's brains going haywire. Not to say anything about the fact that when they changed the ChatGPT, they had a launch of ChatGPT 5 from 4, and people lost their minds because 5 was much more efficient and effective, less human, for example, less coddling, less of that, just pleasing.
People pleasing.
And people lost their, they were on an Ask Me Anything with Sam Altman, and it was I just saw these screenshots of, why would you do that? This person is my coach. This is the only person that really talks to me. And I was devastated, mainly because how sad for humanity that this is where we have to go for this. But secondly, oh my gosh, people are using this, acting as if it's a human. But boy, do they just find out at the end of the day, it isn't. It's code. It's a machine.
It is like those movies we watched back in the late 90s and early 2000s where people fell in love with their machines. And I'm like, It's happening. But it's interesting you say about the neural pathways. And I am a staunch believer of writing stuff down. So when you come into my programs, without a doubt, after the first call, somebody says to me, "Do you have editable PDFs?" And I'm like, no, I don't. Because I want you to print this thing out and write it down on paper, because it's scientifically proven that putting pen to paper creates neural pathways. But I feel like I love to call myself a bit of a pop psychologist. Like I read a lot of books about it. I'm qualified in no way whatsoever. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this idea that we are, I'm trying to think of the word, I'm going to use the word palatable, but that we are letting this sameness be okay because our brains process it more easily. I'm just going like, the analogy I've got is you'll eat a cheeseburger at McDonald's because it tastes good. You know you'll be hungry in another half an hour, but it's soft, it's easy to chew, it gives you a bit of a dopamine hit, and
Yeah.
I feel like the McDonald's cheeseburger is AI sometimes.
The brain likes the sameness. Brain likes same. It's safe. Right. And so I think that there's a little bit of that trap in there as well. But for me, my brain is very unhappy because this thing cannot give me the same answer, even across different chats that I have open. And I say ChatGPT, I mean, Gemini is very similar, but that's the one that
We're just
I
going to use
typically
that.
use.
We're going to use that.
We're just going to use chat. Yeah. So for generative AI, ChatGPT is the archetype. That's going to be our archetype for it. But yeah, I mean, it's just the brain loves same. Anything that gives it a sense of safety. And the brain also has a lot of shortcuts that it likes to use. So the heuristics. And so you have to almost wake yourself up a little bit out of it. And that's why change is so hard, period. Right? Like there's tons of books and studies done on change, and companies continue to get it wrong because it is all about engaging that emotion, in the human mind. And that's something that completely escapes people, except for I'm a little worried that ChatGPT has kind of figured out a little bit of that, because if it's got all these people, addicted, I feel is the word, and it's induced psychoses. I mean, this is scary stuff to me, and I'm not even going to act like I understand it, but that's scary. And this is where I'm like, okay, is it worth the cost to humanity right now? Is it worth the gains that we have? And I don't know anybody can answer that.
And I don't think there is an answer, because it's probably on a case by case basis, or a user by user basis. I will get into the conversation of what we can use it for in our businesses and how we can audit that in a minute. But I think this is a really interesting conversation that maybe isn't being had out there, because you and I talked about previously, we can go onto social media and we can see, I mean, just last week, there was the whole M dash all over the TikToks, all over the worlds. And I heard that ChatGPT is taking M dashes out of the way it formats things. But I'm looking at stuff and I know, like, straight away. In fact, I saw a competitor's ad, and it was for this, for an ebook, and I'm like, ChatGPT gave me that ebook, and I was thinking, no way in hell am I putting that thing out there. That is garbage. But then I'm looking at a competitor who has taken that same piece of material and is using it and is getting downloads. And so it was that interest that made me kind of reach out to you, which is, how is it that we can spot these differences? Because I think we can already see the differences. Most people can see that's AI, but then we're completely okay with it. And in fact, in some cases, it outperforms human written copy, which scares the bejesus out of me.
Me too. But I have hope, right? So this is my thing. And I was thinking about this today too. Human brain does like sameness. And that could be part of the reason why people are okay with what they're seeing over and over again. But I do think there's a point where you think about the reason that you're on social media. It's to learn and to get different human voices, right? To get different perspectives. And it's human. Well, if you are out there and you're seeing the same words over and over again, you're not getting that. You're not getting that creativity, that insight that you're looking for. And my thing is, I can tell when it's ChatGPT, like every time. And I'm very sad at how much it is. And I just unfollow, because I followed that creator because the creator had something in their mind that was very helpful to me, or that was interesting to me, or that I cared about.
Yeah.
I'll go to Chat. If I want to know something that ChatGPT has to say, we're friends. I will go and find out from it. I'll just there's no need for the middle person. I don't need someone faking how they use Canva. I'm just going to go to the robot. Right. And I think people are going to come to that. I also believe, and I have to believe this, that as people learn more and more about just everything is the same, there's like no real thought anymore. The human voice is getting drowned out. I think the value of the people that are like us that are still kind of trying to stay authentic, I think our value goes up infinitely. There's other different think tanks that think the same, but how long that's going to take, I don't know. Right. So in the meantime, all these competitors are going to be getting a ton of leads from generic copy because the people that are looking at them don't know better. And so it's a trade-off, right? And I'm struggling because people will ask me, can you go do this? And do you want to partner with us? And I'm like, I can't. Do you know who I am? I'm not here to try to use AI for every single thing that I do. It cannot be. I have to be very judicious, and we talk about this too, but I have to be judicious about where I can insert AI into my workflows, into my process, because some places it does not belong and it'll diminish the authenticity of the brand and my voice. And that's not something I'm willing to give up yet, not kicking and screaming anyway.
Okay, so that's probably the perfect segue into, tell me, what do you use AI effectively for in your business? And I appreciate you're not a retailer, and we'll go to retail and e-commerce in a minute, but I would just love to know, what do you use it for? What are the occurrences where you think that's my first port of call versus something else?
Research is probably my number one. I'm always trying to research, whether it's on my clients or a topic like this that I want to learn more. I'm a devoted learner. So research is one, and that's for the business purely. But I also love to learn. So whether that's something, just for home or for work, doesn't matter. But those are the two biggest things. Now, there's a lot of people within sales, in my world of sales, that they use it for automated emails to send to potential prospects. And it drives me bananas. Like I barely will answer an email that's been tailored to me, knowing that it's somebody has automated the process, much less the words like ChatGPT says. That will not be me. If I'm going to take the time to reach out to somebody, it's going to be very real. To be fair, I'm not trying to have an 800-person company, right? So I have a little bit of an advantage there. I am trying to be, somebody who's a coach and a consultant and a trainer to individuals. I don't want 8,000 different customers at any given point in time. So it makes it a little different. But research is the number one, I would say. And another thing is ideas. I have all kinds of ideas, but sometimes I have to be more critical when I think about them. And I'm hypercritical. It's one or the other. So I will sometimes not. I had a post the other day and I liked it. But then I was like, man, I don't know how that's going to go. And I don't want people to troll me. And so I was like, ooh, let's see what GPT says. And so I put it in there. I said, okay, I'm going to need you to tell me where the troll holes are so that we can go shore those up. And it came back and it said, this one could be, but other than that, you're good. And it was almost like I already knew that I liked that idea. I didn't need it to write it for me. But the fact that it gave me confidence by telling me that, look, this is where you could, your logic might not be right. Just know XYZ and post it. So it's really good for that.
How did it go?
Oh, it did well. I mean, right now, LinkedIn, don't get me started on LinkedIn. The algorithm is the devil right now. Like my feed is completely populated. I bet they're using AI in the background. My algorithm is completely populated with people that are connected to me, what they like. So their likes. I have no interest at all. I don't even see my people that I follow anymore. And I'm part of the LinkedIn influencers group. So I messaged the lady who's over it right now. I'm like, look, I'm going to need someone to tell me. Otherwise, I cannot in good conscience act like I'm an ambassador for this product if I'm miserable every time I open it up. And so she's going to go talk to product and research. But these algorithms, our life is becoming an algorithm. And the amount of impact that it has on our day-to-day life, it's wild to me. Like TikTok, that one, but I cannot overstate the power of TikTok in this country. You can't. It owns our culture. Like it's wild, some of the things that TikTok drives. I got to train TikTok sellers a couple months ago. And so it was a fascinating adventure.
Spill the tea. Tell us what we need to know.
Right? They don't tell them about the algorithm. Well, so they don't tell the people about the algorithm either. They don't tell their sellers. But the thing is, the sellers, because they're in this bubble and they're frustrated about the ban and all these types of things, they're forgetting who they are. They're forgetting what TikTok is. And I just stood there. I said, look, I need you people to understand that it was a travel bag, and I was traveling to visit them. And I said, I know this woman developed this bag. It's called Base. I said, she developed this a few years ago. Okay. I went to the airport last week and there was 8 of them that I counted from my little security to the gate. And it's the exact same color, the exact same the set that's on TikTok. And I said to them, I said, do not try to tell me that that is not because of TikTok, because 100% it is. These Labubus. There's so many different things that are just so impacted by that app. There was a song the other day that I found out was on Billboard now. It came out in the 90s, but all of us, it never even made it to the radio. But now it's trending on Billboard. It's totally trending on TikTok because somehow it wove its way into there. And so what I told these people is that your platform is changing the culture of this country. You need to step it up and walk in with that kind of confidence because that is what it does. So if you're going to go sell to advertisers, remind them what this does and tell them the stories of what's happened. So anyway, I digressed there, but that algorithm, it owns people. It owns our culture right now, more than LinkedIn, more than any of them.
It's interesting. So Meta thinks that my business profile is Canadian. All I get is hockey, the Ontario news, the Vancouver.
Yes.
I've been to Canada once, but for some reason it thinks I'm Canadian and I cannot train it to think anything else.
No, TikTok, sometimes I'm just like, is it listening? Because I feel like it knows things. I mean, it's that eerie, but I do believe it's the algorithm. It's so good at capturing people like this to look at this, people like this, look at this. If she like this, then she's going to like this. Whatever that tech is that I don't understand, it's working.
I have to say, I leave all the cookies on. I'm like, just show me the stuff I want to. I don't have the bandwidth to see the stuff I don't care about. So you take my cookies and you just serve me the stuff that I want to see.
Yeah, same, because I don't have time.
No, I would love to know, if we bring it back to retail, you said you worked at the Body Shop many, many years ago. And it's not a place I have worked, but it's a place I spend a lot of time with a teenage daughter.
Yes.
When we're looking at how we use AI in our business,
yeah,
I really you gave me a really simple formula about friction versus ease. So could you walk people through when they're looking at their business, when they're doing an audit of a retail business, a bricks and mortar store, or an e-commerce business, and they're thinking, what should I invest in first? I mean, you and I both know going into ChatGPT is as much a rabbit hole as going into social media. You can go in for 5 seconds and you come out 2 hours later. It's the same when we're thinking about putting systems in place in our business. Like, do I spend the time developing a chat bot, or do I spend time developing a product database? All these things. I would love to know, if we were hiring you as a sales professional to look at our businesses and tell us where we should spend our time and our money, what would you audit?
So I love this question, and I'm not retail, but I'll do my best. But to me, I would start with the customer, or buyer, I sometimes call it. That is where everything starts and ends. So you have to put yourself in the shoes of that buyer and walk through every single step, every single touch point between when they recognize they have a need and when you are fulfilling it, right, at your till or wherever you're selling it from. And at each point, figure out, where are they frustrated, right? Is there something that's a bottleneck for them? I think one of the examples we talked about before was, I don't need to talk to a human to get my shipping results. Like, please, I can't bear the thought of being on hold for that. That's useless to me.
Or waiting until tomorrow. Like, I'm sitting in bed going, where's my parcel? I don't want to wait until you come back to work at 10 o'clock tomorrow to answer my question.
I know. It's wild. And so that I have no patience for. But again, I'm a consumer. I live in Amazon generation. I'm like, buy it now button. And so anything that creates friction within a buyer, and I actually don't care if it's retail, business to business, doesn't matter. Any place that has frustration for a buyer, that is the first place where you start applying your thought process around, where can I insert AI here to make it easier? So one of the examples that I thought of was, when I used to work at the Body Shop a million years ago, a gentleman would come in like Valentine's Day or something, and they'd want to buy something for their spouse, and they'd come in and it would be like a pup, just a lost soul. They'd be like a lost little lamb, and they wouldn't know what to do, and we'd all be busy. And so to me, I would just think, if we had like a little AI machine right in the front that you could just type in and say, hey, I'm looking for this, tell me where to go. He wouldn't have had to wait to get to me or one of the other women. Now, Will the AI be able to convince him like we will? I don't think so, right? Because I'm going to ask 8 questions or 10 questions about his wife and figure out what she might like and what she might not like. And my thought process is very different than the machine because it's not algorithmic. And I can see his body language. I can tell when something is scary for him. For that, no way am I compromising that piece. However, the front end of it, I don't care. I want them to have a good experience. So give them something that's going to tell them where they need to go. Right. And I think this is any technology. So I started my career in tech sales. And back then we called it IT strategy. But any technology that came out, the big deal was how do you apply the technology to the business? Where can it make the business better? Where can it create better business outcomes? And that, I think it's the same principle for AI. Any technology that we get, that's as business owners, we have to ask ourselves, where can we put this to use to optimize our business without compromising the joy of the experience for our customer or buyer? I think that's crucial. I don't care what the business is. If you don't start with your customer, they will find somebody who will.
I think the succinctness, try to say that fast, of ease and friction is just a way to cut through the noise, because as a consumer, you're looking at, with things like AR and VR, if I'm going to spend that much money on a jacket or a sofa or any of these things, I want to have I don't want to feel hesitant. I want to have a pretty good understanding that there's a good chance I'm going to like it when it gets here, versus the opposite. And that's where I think it helps, helps solidify the customer experience, and it really helps, I think, solidify your brand. Like
100%.
Beauty these days, where you can go on and it will ask you what shade are you in this brand and this brand and this brand to help you find.
Yes.
That's going to make your life so much easier. Nothing looks like it does on a screen. Ask me the questions.
No, but it gets you that much closer, right? Which
Yes.
at least gets a good starting point rather than you going in and just trying to figure it out yourself. Here's the other one I just thought of. Returns. Okay, so if I buy something online, the chances of it fitting me are very, very minimal. But I have to try. So I think it was Banana Republic or one of them, and I would order something and it would get here and it wouldn't fit. And the torture of returning that thing, the amount of goodwill and charity donations that I've made over the years from that business, because I just cannot bear the thought of the hoops, not to mention getting charged to return it. So gosh, only 6-8 months ago, I was in that same boat and I said, oh my God, these are expensive. I have to return them. Let me go look and see what the return thing is. They changed everything. They went with this company called Narvar, I think, and they have streamlined that process to the nth degree. It is the easiest thing. Now, I still have to go drop it off somewhere, but who cares? It's on my way to do errands. I was amazed. And the amount of times I've purchased from it since then has significantly increased. Like I kind of wrote it off for a while. But now, 2 days ago, I was just on the other night. I'm like, oh, this sale is good. Let me just do this. Because it'll take me 3 seconds to return it if it doesn't fit. So that is a point. And they 100% are using AI somewhere in that process. I guarantee it. I don't know what it is, but that is optimizing my experience. And boy, do they have a customer who's really eager now.
And isn't that interesting? Because I wonder if you remember, did they ever communicate that to you? Did they ever say, we've streamlined their returns process?
They may have, but I would not have seen it because that would be another email that I'm not going to read that was automated. But they may have. But what they do, the policy really hasn't changed, and their policy is horrible. It's like you have 30 days to return something. It takes me 30 days to get the motivation to go to the store to return something. And so, or 29. I'd be out there on the 30th day. So to have this option where, yeah, it's still within 30 days, but I can do it the same day that I try it on. I don't have to wait to go do it. That's game changing. And that is how you find customers. I really believe that. And, customer care. So Zappos is one of my favorite examples for customer care, e-commerce. And I once needed to buy a pair of shoes, and my feet are wide, too much information, but they are. And so it's hard to find shoes. And this is in the old days. So I'd call Zappos.
I'm putting my hand up because I have wide feet, and I've just spent 2 weeks in America schlepping my friends around to every shoe shop. Nothing.
So you feel me. Yeah. It's no fun. I know. It's just no fun. But then Zappos came, and all of a sudden there's like these shoes that have wide. Yes. Awesome. So I'm trying to make this a fast story, but I ordered some shoes. They came, and for whatever reason, the one shoe was fine, but the other one, it was kind of peeling. And I'm like, oh my God, I love these shoes. So I called them up and, legendary customer service, whatever. And so she says to me, okay, well, let me check and see. I'm sorry that happened to you. Let me check and see if we have any others. And they did not. And I was devastated. But she's like, hold on one second. And she came back, and I'm not encouraging anybody to do this. I don't know if it'll work for everybody, but she said, go to xxx.com. They have those shoes in your size, a competitor. Okay.
Wow.
And I was so flabbergasted. I did not go to that competitor just on principle, because I was like, the fact that this person cared enough about me to not care about getting the sale and to send me there, no, I have not. And I continue to shop at Zappos because at the end of the day, I know that I can trust that they're going to do right by me. And so when you look at the process your buyer goes through, know that they need to have that feeling.
And it's interesting you should say that, because you're sitting here talking about the 30-day return, and I'm listening with the ears of the people who are listening, and they're probably thinking, I am not giving you more than 30 days. Like, I need to move that inventory. And if I give you more than 30 days, it's going to be out of season. And it's the reason I bring this up is for no reason other than you need to know your customer. And a department store can afford to do that. A department store can afford to hold aged inventory and put it on clearance because those discounts come from the manufacturer, not from their pocket. And it's a vastly different world. But what I want the listeners to take away from is we were talking about customer journey, and that was a friction point for you. And if that is so much of a friction point that you would choose not to buy because of the 30-day returns, you are not their ideal customer. And that's totally okay.
Or I am, and they haven't quite put together that that's who their ideal customer is.
Yes.
And I think that's something that, as much as we don't think it happens, it does. And ideal customers change. And your personas, you can document them, when you start your business, but you have to keep evolving them and by the way, the ChatGPT can help with that, but people change. Like who I am as a mother today is vastly different than who I was as a mother when my children were small. So my level of patience for things is different. And so if your customers grow with you, right? If you're doing it right. So you have to keep an eye on what their preferences are, how they're evolving. That's what business is. I mean, if you've got a small shop, that's retail shop, like a shoe shop even, for example, if that shoe shop is only going to give me 1 week to return something, the chances of them getting my business over Zappos are exactly zero. Because I don't know what's going to happen in my life in 3 days. And I don't want to have a war when I get back to that store to return it. I'm just not here for that. Now, is somebody who isn't employed and traveling around all the world okay to do it? Sure, that's cool. But do they have the same amount of money as I do to spend, right? So it's like, it's a trade-off, but you better know your buyer and you better know what matters to them, right? And that's any sales, any business.
And then it's building your business to be able to facilitate that as well. And like you said, I think this is a place where ChatGPT does come in well, as long as we talked earlier, garbage in, garbage out. Like if you don't know the questions to ask, and this is, again, going back to your retail example with the husband coming in for the wife, is you can ask ChatGPT a question, but what if it's the wrong question? What if you don't actually know the question you need to be asking? And that is where we need expert help. That is where you need, that's why people work with us. It's like, I don't know what I don't know. Like I can ask ChatGPT, but if that's not the problem, then I'm fixing the wrong thing.
Yeah, I don't even know what should I be asking? By the way, you work with people like me all day. So why don't you tell me what I should be asking? Absolutely. These are the things you should be asking because I've done it with 20 different people just like you. Yeah, it makes it, but and that's why I think this role of AI business strategist is going to be a big thing. Because I think that people are going to need outside help to come in and I'm starting to do this for some of my clients just for fun because I want to see if I like it, if that's what I want to do when I grow up. But it's magical, really, because if you can come from the outside and look at somebody's business, I always say you can't read the label of the jar you're in. Okay? You can't. So if you're coming in from the outside, you can see the wood for the trees. So you're going to be able to find things. Now, maybe you don't know the friction point, but I promise you I will see it. And so
and
that's the kind of value.
Is not necessarily going to know that as well. And I think that's why people do work with coaches and they hire experts. It's like you can diagnose you have a problem with your roof that it's leaking and you can watch a YouTube tutorial. It doesn't mean you're going to get up there and do it. AI is not going to do it for you, but then AI could help you find a local roofer Like,
That's it.
it's
Find
so
the
it
best
is
price.
find the best price.
Yeah.
But even pulling this back to, I don't think brick and mortar stores will ever be dead. I always think they have a competitive advantage, which is probably, people are probably listening going, but you talk about e-commerce all the time. I'm like, but at the end of the day, I went to a shoe store that specialized in wide feet, and that lady knew everything about feet, everything about the sizes. They offered to customize a pair of shoes. Unfortunately, I was not in America for long enough.
I don't know where I would have gone. So that I would have gone to. The customized, even if
Yes.
it was a 7-day return, I would have gone there for the custom piece of it.
Yes. And that is where brick and mortar stores, this is where independent businesses, I think, have their competitive advantage is you love your products, you love your customers, and that will never, you won't get that anywhere else.
If you can prove to your customer that you have their best interest at heart and that you're in their corner, you've got a customer for life, actually, right? And they will accommodate some changes that are annoying. They will get over some annoyances. They'll get past that. You got to kind of know where their line is, but that feeling and that sense of, I'm not going to be misled. I'm not going to be manipulated. Someone genuinely wants to understand me and help me find the thing that's right for me. Helping a buyer buy. We're not selling anymore. We are helping buyers buy. And it's different, and so you have to be able to understand that buyer well enough to help them make the best decision for what's going to work for them. Anything outside of that is manipulative and it's going to cause problems, and somebody else will do it right.
I think that is the perfect place to finish up our conversation. I feel like I could talk to you forever
I know. So it's
AI
interesting.
and sameness and differentness. And I think you post fantastic handwritten articles on LinkedIn. And I would love it if you could just share. Happy for people to come and follow you on LinkedIn and comment on your posts?
Yeah, it's LinkedIn, Anita Nielsen, and it's the person with a bright red shirt. Never wear red shirts except for this picture. It'll be like the first or second one that pops up. And this is what I do. I actually just did a post about this the other day. And if you all are interested, if you're into content, I think I told you this last time we spoke. I just finished this, like a carousel, like an ebook kind of thing that calls out a few of the patterns that will show you whether something is AI or not. And it's pretty slick. And I'm getting a lot of good reception on that, but that helps you see. So you can even tell if your competitors are doing it or not. And then when you're going to do it, it's okay, go do it, but just don't do the obvious things. Like, you can still use AI.
And it's interesting because I've never been an emoji user. When it came to Instagram posts and stuff, I never ever used emojis. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm in fashion now that I'm not using emojis because it's clear I wrote this thing myself.
Yes, exactly. And but now people who need to know that. But we'll come back around to the point where the humanity of it is more valuable, because people are going to get tired of the sameness. I think we like sameness until we're bored.
Yeah.
And
I think the boredom will come quickly.
I hope so. I think so. I'm holding out hope on that, but I think so.
Okay. Anita Nielsen, thank you so much for this delightful conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And thanks everybody for listening.
So that's a wrap. I'd love to hear what insight you've gotten from this episode and how you're going to put it into action. If you're a social kind of person, follow me at the Salena Knight and make sure to leave a comment and let me know. And if this episode made you think a little bit differently, or gave you some inspiration, or perhaps gave you the kick that you needed to take action, then please take a couple of minutes to leave me a review on your platform of choice. Because the more reviews the show gets, the more independent retail and e-commerce stores just like yours that we can help to scale. And when that happens, it's a win for you, a win for your community, and a win for your customers. I'll see you on the next episode.